DOC number 107939. You are classified as a sixth felony offender. You were sentenced on March 16, 1989 to a life sentence. Your convictions are aggravated rape, armed robbery, aggravated kidnapping, possession of cocaine out of Orleans Parish. Is that information correct?
That's correct, Ms. Manassi.
Okay. I'm going to answer Mr. Marabella, please.
That's correct, Mr. Marabella.
Mr. Gonzalez, my name is Tony Marabella. How are you? I'm going to be asking you a few questions
Yes,
this
sir.
morning, okay?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gonzalez, how old are you, sir?
I'm now 63 years old. I'll be 64 this year.
Okay. And how long have you been in prison?
I've been incarcerated for a period of 33 years plus a few months.
You were on probation for cocaine when the rape and kidnapping occurred. Is that right?
If that's what the record reflects, yes, sir.
I mean, do you remember that?
I know I had possession of cocaine, yes, sir.
Correct. And you had been on probation for that charge at the time you committed this offense and you got revoked, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about that particular day with this rape and this kidnapping charge. Started out as an armed robbery, as I understand it.
Yes,
so
sir.
Tell me what happened.
Well, on that particular day, I was out about town in New Orleans, and I was really in the mode of trying to hustle, which is really street crime. I was trying to obtain some money so I can purchase cocaine, and I happened to come upon Miss Warner at the time, and I noticed that she had a purse dangling from her shoulders. And I watched her for just a moment, and I noticed that she was going into a vehicle, and she was entering the vehicle from the passenger side. And I said to myself, I would just take her purse and run with it. But as I got close to her, and I accosted her, and I asked her for her purse. Her purse sort of don't make a sound. And I asked her for her purse. I think it just escalated, and I realized that she was getting the car, and I could actually rob her and take the car too. So I commanded her to get into the car, into the back seat of the car. And once she got into the back seat of the car, I got in the car, and I tied her hands with a scarf I had, and a scarf that she had, I put it around her mouth. And I asked, before I did that, I asked her where the car keys was. And when she told me she had them in her hand, I took her car keys. And then at that point, that's when I tied her and bound her. And I took the car and I drove off with her in the back seat on the floor of the car. And I drove around for some hours. And I guess in my mind, well, I don't guess, I know in my mind I was going to and fro with how far I would take this or what I would do, because I hadn't really planned on raping this female, but it escalated in my mind. And at some point I wound up in Jefferson Parish, and I drove back to Orleans Parish, and I decided that I would rape Miss Warren, and I did. And after sexually abusing her and raping her, I commanded her to get out the car on her knees, and I drove off with her vehicle.
Now, prior to this,
Yes, sir.
you had some violent offenses before. You had some attempted murder. You had some other charges against you. Tell me about the violence. Why so violent?
The attempt murder charges, they resulted in the police chase, because I didn't get arrested on the day of the crime, Mr. Marabella. I got arrested like 2 weeks later.
I understand, but why all the anger or the violence and the trying to get away from everybody?
I was trying to get away because, I realized I was about to be apprehended, and I know I was in a stolen vehicle, and I know the vehicle was connected to this crime, to this rape of this woman. And I was just trying to get away from the police. But with regard to the anger, yes, I've been dealing with anger most of my life.
Let's talk about your drug addiction.
Yes, sir.
What kind of drugs have you used in your lifetime?
Well, I've smoked marijuana, but cocaine became my drug of choice, and it started out recreationally speaking, at parties and at clubs, but it advanced on me, and I started smoking it. And I became addicted to it by that time, and in rock form, which is referred to as crack.
How old were you then?
I was in my By the time I got addicted, I was in my late 20s, early 30s.
And how old were you when this rape occurred?
I was 31, I believe I was 30 or 31.
So when do you believe you were significantly addicted to crack cocaine? Late 20s?
I know for a fact I became really addicted to it around the age of 29 to 30.
How often were you using it?
It got to the point where I had to use it daily, 2 or 3 times a day.
Did you ever have any treatment on the outside?
No, I didn't. I didn't pursue treatment on the outside. I knew I was sick, but I did nothing to try to help myself.
What have you done while you've been on the inside with reference to drugs or alcohol?
Well, the thing I did first was I became involved with a substance abuse program here. And in that program, the value of it for me was learning certain triggers, certain emotions that led to my indulgence. And the program was good, but it wasn't extensive until I got to the RDAP program, which is the residential drug abuse program. In that program, I became really, really conscious of things that really helped me back in my life, especially dealing with my anger and dealing with my need to try to find a completion in drugs. And another thing that I got from that is, as far as me learning, for learning purposes, I learned to basically continue to do attitude checks on myself, to continue to do rational self-analysis. I also learned the value of continuing to practice healthy lifestyle, which I do on a daily basis now, and also the maintaining of safety nets.
In the event you are released at some time in the future,
Yes, sir.
How will you be able to stay off of crack cocaine or any other drugs for that matter? Alcohol, drugs, any substances?
Okay, Mr. Marabella, first of all, I know that I'm clean. I'm clean now because I've never been clean like this in my life before. And even upon release, if I am granted a favorable recommendation, I still would like to be involved with some sort of sobriety program, not just for my benefit, but because there's an investment in me. People have helped me in here. And I also want to be able to impact and help others. That's my heart's passion. And I know I'm through with drugs and any other negative behavior that really characterized my former life.
In reviewing your mental health report, it suggests that you've been sober for 30 years. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you've also been in a very structured environment.
I have.
You didn't have the access to the drugs that you have on the streets. Maybe problems in prison, but not necessarily the same kind of problems you're going to meet on the street. So,
Okay.
You consider yourself a drug addict?
I am a recovered drug addict.
Okay, a recovering drug addict.
Yes, sir. That's
Fair to
even good to say as well. And another thing too, Mr. Marabella, excuse me, go ahead.
Go ahead.
In reference to the fact of being in a supervised environment, that I am, but there are still drugs here. But it's
I
not.
understand that.
There's nothing that I want.
I do understand that, but you are also in a supervised environment that whereas you do drugs, they're going to catch you right quick, and you realize that and you're aware of that.
Right.
On the outside, you're worried about eating, sleeping, where you're going to live, what you're going to do. There are a lot of other pressures outside.
Yeah.
So how are you going to deal with that?
Again, I say this, Mr. Marabella, my desire and my passion is to stay clean. I'm clean. And I would never go back to that type of depravity again in my life, because I realized what it did to me and where it brought from. It's only by God's grace that I'm alive today. So I know I won't go back.
How important are AA meetings or NA meetings or support groups to you?
They have their value. They are important to me because it helps to reinforce what I believe and what I think about my overcoming, what I believe about my going forward. And not only that, I look forward to really helping other people, just as I do in here.
Let's talk a little bit more about the crime you committed. Have you taken sex offender treatment?
Yes, I have.
Tell me what you've learned. You've taken all 4 phases, haven't you?
Yes, I have, sir.
Tell me what you've learned about what you did to Ms. Warner.
First of all, before I say anything, I would like to personally, it is my remorseful, contrite heart to apologize for the crimes that I committed against this woman, because she didn't deserve that. And that was wrong. That was evil of me to do that. And coming to grips with the shame as well as the pain that I had to endure once I faced the man in the mirror, which was me, and realizing how sick I had become, it became my heart passion to really deal with the sexual addiction that was in my life, Mr. Marabella. I'm not going to fault anything in my past, although there has been some things that happened to me early in life. I was exposed to sexual business way too young in life, and that kind of charted my path for sexuality. But what I learned in the risk management program, where there were certain triggers that I had become familiar with, I just wasn't paying attention to them, certain settings that caused things to arouse in me that shouldn't have been there, but they were placed in there early in my life. And I had to learn that when I was around these things and when I was exposed to them, the chances are that they would become practical.
What sort of triggers? What did you learn about yourself that you might be able to correct in the future?
I became addicted to pornography way too early in life. Okay. I didn't see the downfall of that. That caused me to view women in a one-dimensional sense as opposed to seeing them holistically, because they are created in the image of God, just as you and I are. But I didn't see that. I looked at them as you would look at a photograph from one-dimensional sense. And that's to look at a person's body and face and see nothing more. And that became a pattern for me. And I'm ashamed of that, but I'm very truthful about it. I had the wrong worldview. I had the wrong perspective. And these risk management classes that I took with Mason County, they helped me to really understand these things about triggers and about my emotions, about the anger I felt that I didn't know for a long time really existed. I didn't know the roots of my anger. And I had to come to grip with all that to find a release and to start really living like I'm living now, really knowing what living life is really all about. Because honestly, sir, I didn't know what life was. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know any of that. Only thought I did.
You mentioned you learned about your sex addiction.
Yes, sir.
We talked a little bit about your substance abuse and what you plan on doing to make sure you don't go back to drugs. What about sex addiction? What sort of things would you have in place? I mean, I know you're going to have certain requirements to register and to report and those kinds of things, but what things would you do for yourself to make sure you don't find yourself in those positions again?
Well, Mr. Marabella, I'm going to say this. It was shared with me not to over spiritualize myself, but man, I would believe so strongly in God's transforming power in my life. That is the foundation for me, for any action that comes from me. The thing that I have in place is God's word in my heart and life, and I walked it out and I demonstrate that. Now, if there's anything else that I need to apply or any program for the program that I need to be a part of, I'm not opposed to that. I really am not. But I'm assured of who I am today. I know I'm clean. I know I'm a man of integrity, and I walk in that.
Go ahead. You consider yourself to be a different person than you were when you first came in here?
I know I am.
Okay. You have a daughter?
Yes, I do.
How old is your daughter?
Anisha, I think she's 39 or 40. Forgive me, because years pass in here.
Okay.
I think she's 39 or 40.
Do you have any relationship with her? Have you kept in communication with her?
By the grace of God, she's always been in my life. Okay. I was the one abandoning her. She never turned away from me.
Okay. You do have some opposition from law enforcement. Yes. What would you say to them, basically, that you haven't said to me yet about who you are?
I would just like to apologize for the person and character that I displayed in the city of New Orleans. I can't change that, but I have purpose in my life from this point on to live with intentionality and purpose. I can only ask that they would forgive me because I was wrong and I did some things that were atrocious and that were wrong. But I'm not that individual anymore. You know, I am a changed man and I walk in change.
63 years old is young. You look like you're in pretty good health. What kind of work would you do, or what would you do, assuming that you were able to be released in the near future?
First and foremost, I'm called to the ministry. I am a worship leader and a minister and teacher of the gospel. I also, my passion really is the work that I'm doing now with the reentry program. I love counseling. I love sharing with guys. I love helping guys to see the need to change certain thoughts, attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. I believe in investing in imparting into guys' lives. And also, I really love to bake, and I'm an excellent grill cook.
Thank you very much for your comments and your answering my questions, Mr. Gonzalez. Thank you,
Yes,
Madam
sir.
Chairman. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Marabella. Mr. Wise?
You know, Ms. Gonzalez, your last disciplinary write-up was in I think it was in 9 of 2015. It was a Rule 14. I want to commend you on your disciplinary write-ups. You've had 14 and the total of over 30 years that you've been incarcerated. And I commend you on those write-ups. And Mr. Marabella asked you most of the questions I would have asked.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Wise.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Mr. Jones?
Yes, Mr. Gonzalez,
Yes, sir.
what would you say your, when at an early age prior to all the drugs, how you raised back
I'm sorry, sir. I could not understand.
the early teens? Figure out what made you turn to this style of life as a young adolescent, young person.
I'm sorry. I couldn't fully understand your question, sir. I heard the part about young teens.
Yeah, I was just saying what kind of life you lived as a young person, say before you turned to alcohol and drugs.
When I was young, it was just me and my mother, so I didn't really have a father figure. And I was real smart in school. I never really had no problems academically. I think where I went to getting off track is I wanted to be like some other kids I saw in my neighborhood, some of my peers coming up. And although that wasn't really me, that wasn't my identity, I did whatever I needed to do to fit in with them. So I started really getting off track when I was around about 14 or 15. But prior to that, I was really into school and everything that comes with it.
And the anger management, the anger that you talked about, the anger you talked about,
Yes, sir.
that would stem from where?
Well, I had to endure being raped. I had to endure being raped by family members, and I felt anger at my mother because I felt like she should have known about my uncle. And at one point, I became so angry that I wanted to run away, but I didn't. But later in life, I found out that my mother actually wanted to kill him when she found out. But by this time, it didn't matter to me. And so I didn't really know I was angry. I knew I was hurt, but I didn't know I was angry. I couldn't make those connections. I couldn't connect those dots, sir, until later in life when so many people would tell me I was mean and looked like I was an angry person, and I thought they were lying. But I had to really go back in my life and look at the things that really upset me. And that really upsetted me, and it started a pattern for me. And it took me
Any
a while to get over it.
counseling? Or
Sir,
did you go through any counseling or anything pertaining to that?
actually, I didn't. I think the first person that I really opened up, that I recall opening up to the point that I was broken, was another inmate, and his name was Ryan Christopher Hicks, and he's my pastor in here.
I don't have any other questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Roche.
Mr. Gonzalez, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Roche.
Mr. Gonzalez, I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
You said that on the day of the offense, you were roaming the streets on a hustle
Yes, sir.
because you needed money for drugs.
Yes, sir.
And you saw the lady just casually carrying a purse, not secure, and you thought it was an easy prey.
Yes, sir.
And you made a deliberate decision
I did.
after you got into that car to take her from one parish to the other, then back to that parish,
Yes, sir.
and you made a premeditated decision to molest the lady. And was it because you thought of that female in a one-dimensional fashion?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And while all this was going on, that you were on supervision and had been convicted of 5 additional felonies with 13 different arrests, and you didn't think that was going to affect you as being incarcerated for a very, very long time?
You know, Mr. Roshan, I've asked myself since I've been in my right mind why those didn't serve as blocks for me at that time. And I realized that was the farthest thing from my mind. I was caught up in the moment. I was caught up in the influence. You know, I had cocaine on me. I just was not in my right mind. I didn't even think toward, my thoughts were nowhere in that area at that time. I was just in my right, irrational sense of thinking. And I was wrong. That's all I can say. I was wrong.
You so affected that victim that
Yes,
that
sir.
victim could not even be located. She did not want to be located for this hearing simply because it would probably drag up memories and emotions that she can't handle even today, after 30 plus years after the offense.
Yes, sir.
So tell me why I should vote to commute a sentence of an individual who was a 6th felony offender before the age of 30, who had 2 sex offenses because the aggravated crime against nature was dropped a couple of months after your conviction on aggravated rape. So tell me why I should vote for an individual who has such a extensive criminal background and a history of violence.
Yes, sir. I know everything that you've said is true of the person that I was. I am the person that did all those atrocious things, just as the record reflects every other ill behavior of mine. But I'm merely here this morning and I'm asking for mercy because I'm not that individual anymore. I can't change or undo the things that I've done. But by the grace of God and the power of God, my life has been transformed. I'm not that individual anymore, nor would I ever hurt anyone anymore. I'm just here asking for mercy because I am changed. I'm not that person anymore. I prayed for this victim's healing just as much as I prayed for her forgiveness, because my heart is remorseful toward it. It's just not an act for me. Change is not a noun, it's a verb for me. I'm acting involved in the process. All I can do is ask for the mercy of this board this morning, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Madam Chairman.
Mr. Gonzalez, I want to commend you on your conduct record. As Mr. Wise pointed out, 14 write-ups in 33 plus years. That's remarkable.
Thank
And
you.
I want to commend you for that. So your job is the social reentry mentor. We've done a lot of time talking about you and your transformation today and your thoughts on that. I know you like to talk, it seems, but if you could briefly tell us about one mentee that you believe you helped and what that meant to you. Be brief.
I believe the one mentee I helped is Eric Meehan. He's a young man that's from St. Tammany Parish, and he's on my kiosk list. And I haven't heard from him recently, but the last time I heard from him, he sent me a picture of him and his daughter, which he loved very much. And he was thanking me for the things that I instilled within his life. And he shared with me how much he benefited from him and how he would never forget me. And it blesses me to know that I was able to impart to him my experiences, not only on the criminal side, but on the life of change, as well as my experiences in Angola. So Eric would be one of the main ones that I would kind of highlight, so to speak.
So that's one you're very proud of. Good for you. And I just want to thank you for that work. I know that's not easy work, but it's very meaningful.
Yes,
I don't have any other questions. I'd like to hear from your daughter who's with us this morning. Miss Anisha, can we hear from you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a brief statement that I prepared. So if that's okay, I'd like to read that. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. Again, my name is Anisha Miller, and I'm addressing you all on behalf of my father, Clinton Gonzalez. My father has been incarcerated for most of my life. But despite that being the case, he has made it his resolve to maintain a close and constant relationship with me, which I'm very appreciative of. And as a result of that close relationship, my father's always been open and honest with me. And because he's been honest, we're able to communicate. He's never tried to justify or minimize his actions. To the contrary, he has continuously expressed his sincere remorse and regret. My father has made his renewed faith and determination to live a morally upright life evident in every aspect possible, from what I can gather. He expresses that his belief in the power of God has restored and rehabilitated him. Furthermore, he expresses that he no longer lives a life for himself, but rather one that serves for the good of God and others. He often speaks of things that he would like to do if he's afforded the opportunity of freedom. And at the top of his list is facilitating a ministry, opening a restaurant, and taking his granddaughter to Disney World. So it's just my most earnest desire that these dreams, along with a few others he's communicated to me, can finally come to fruition. But regardless of the outcome, my father has earned my continuous support to whatever capacity that's needed to ensure that he continues on this righteous path. Thank you.
And thank you. Thank you for spending time with us this morning and sharing those remarks. Before we go to Mr. Henderson, we'd like to hear from the warden at Angola.
Yes, ma'am. He's been a trustee since 2003, and y'all covered just about everything as far as his disciplinary record. He hasn't had the 14 and hasn't had a new report since 2015, which is really good. And the only other thing I'll add is that hadn't been brought up, he is an NOBTS graduate since 2011. and his tiger is loose. Tiger's
Good.
cool.
All right. All right, thank you. Thank you, we appreciate it. Mr. Henderson?
People within the environment that you find yourself in. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. We appreciate your support. So, Ms. Gamble, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Would it be possible for Mr. Gonzalez to give his statement before I speak? Is that okay?
Yes, surely. Mr.
Thank you.
Gonzalez, would you like to make your statement?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Renata. Again, I first of all, I want to thank this board. I want to thank the staff that's here with me and everybody that's involved with this procedure. Truly, I'm grateful for it because I realize that it's nothing that I say that I just deserve at all. Again, I'd like to apologize to Ms. Warner and secondary victims, which are her family members. I also like to apologize to the city of New Orleans, Louisiana, as well as Jefferson Parish for those atrocities which I committed. Again, Ms. Renata, I just like to say that I am changed. God is my witness to that. I mean, where I'm at, the person that I am today, that'll be the person that I am when I leave this world, a changed man, a man that knows who he is now, a man that walks in integrity, whose character has been changed. Can't undo the past, but certainly I will live the rest of my life doing the thing that I know that is right. I want to be a help to people, and that's my passion. So I don't have anything else other to say that hasn't already been said. I thank everybody that's involved. I love my daughter. I thank Ms. Gamma. I thank Norris. And I'm just grateful to be here this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gamble?
Thanks, ma'am. Good morning, and like I said earlier, my name is Karen Gamble, and I'm a third-year law student here at the LSU Law Center's Parole and Reentry Clinic. I was permitted to provide limited legal representation to Mr. Gonzalez under Louisiana Supreme Court Rule number 20, and I assisted with him today in preparation for this hearing by preparing a narrative brief for him. And additionally, in the room with me is our supervising attorney, Professor Robert Lancaster. And so initially, Mr. Marabella pointed out earlier about the stability that he expressed, that concerns regarding the stability that Mr. Gonzalez would have upon his release. And I wanted to mention that not only does Mr. Gonzalez have the support of the Louisiana Parole Project if he was to be released, he's also in the process of completing an application to reside at One Touch Ministries here in the Baton Rouge area. If his application is accepted there, he would not only have housing, but he would also have a structured environment to facilitate him within the transition of reentering society. So he wouldn't necessarily be thrown back into the water should he be released. Additionally, he has expressed his commitment to ongoing any sorts of substance abuse programming, which would not only be a part of his programming with the Parole Project, but something that he has desired to do even after he is out of that transitional programming, because he understands that the path to becoming clean and remaining clean is not immediate. It requires constant actions on his behalf. And so he's consistently wanted to express that and show his commitment to remaining clean in the future. Additionally, he does not intend to return to the New Orleans area. He has expressed a desire to come to Baton Rouge, not only for his transitional programming, but a possible future employment with a local community organization known as Beloved. If he was to be granted employment there, he would not only be doing volunteer work, he would be directly communicating and ministering with at-risk youth, something that he's expressed not only in this hearing, but he's already actively doing through his role as a reentry mentor within the institution. And so he would be able to take his passion for volunteer work that he is doing within the prison and make that more tangible on the outside. But he's also expressed that in the interim, he is not above doing any sort of work. He has expressed a desire to work. And in my conversations with him, he told me that prior to his incarceration, he was unable to retain a job for long periods of time. When we look at his work record that he's had within the institution, he's retained employment for a number of years. And he wants to carry that out when he is released, and shows that since his incarceration, he's moved into a new stage of his life where he can not only retain employment, but he wants to have that employment in the future. Overall, he just has had a new stage in his life. As the warden mentioned, he's become a recent graduate of the seminary within the institution, something that, as I spoke with the former director of the institution, Dr. Johnny Bly, as well as Dr. Robeson, they mentioned that completion of that degree is not easy. It shows that he has a commitment to his future, something that he did not have at the time of his incarceration, where he was living day to day and merely for the sake of drugs and giving into his anger. His education shows his commitment to his future, his ability to think long-term, and shows that he not only has a plan for his future, but the commitment to achieve that. And so overall, he has a newfound stage of his life. It's been one of drastic change. He has his pursuit of higher education, a job plan, a goal, and he now wants to give back to his community and is currently giving back to his community in any ways possible. And so it's for these reasons that we respectfully ask for this board to grant Mr. Gonzalez a commutation of sentence with whatever recommendations it deems necessary upon his release. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gamble. Mr. Marabella.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Gonzalez, you have a long criminal history.
Yes, sir.
You're a 6th-time offender. The crime that you committed upon Miss Warner is probably one of the most heinous crimes that can be committed on a person.
Sir.
You know that from your classes. You know that from your personal knowledge, from what you told us today.
Sir.
You've been very honest with us today, and I appreciate the honesty that you have given us today. You have been incarcerated over half of your life on these charges here today. You have a low risk factor. You have taken every program that I can think of that addresses the issues that you have. You've expressed what you've learned from those programs and what you've been able to accomplish as a result of those programs. You've done some very good things while you've been in prison. As a former judge, we sentence people and hope that there are two paths they can take. One is they can better themselves, or one, they can go feel sorry for themselves and become a worse criminal. You chose the former. You've done a lot of rehabilitation. Based upon the great comments that the warden gave you, as well as all of the other things that I've indicated, my vote today would be to commute your sentence to 99 years and make you immediately parole eligible. That would be my vote, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wise.
Well, at this time, I see you've done some good programs and some good things. And I went over all the programs you've done. And today, I'm going to be voting the same, Mr. Marabella. I'm going to vote to grant with immediate parole eligibility. And good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Jones.
Yes, Mr. Gonzalez, I concur with my colleagues. You've to be commended for things that you've done since you've been incarcerated. My vote today would be to grant also make parole eligibility.
Thank you, sir.
And
You got it,
Mr. Roche.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, sir. We did. Mr. Roche.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Yes, sir.
you get to a point where you have so much baggage that it weighs you down.
Yes, sir.
And you're a 6th felony offender. And in my opinion, you're not suitable for this process.
Yes.
Even though everything was positive today, you have committed and been convicted of 6 felonies. You have a long history of violence. You were on supervision when you committed these horrific crimes. My vote today, based on those factors, is to deny your request.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. And Mr. Gonzalez, I have listened carefully, have reviewed the record carefully, and I do believe my vote today would be to commute your sentence to 99 years with immediate parole eligibility based on the work that you've done. Your age, frankly, and the length of incarceration. And for me, the service you provide to others through in the prison community through the social reentry program, mentoring others is very meaningful. So for me, that's my vote. So you've received 4 favorable votes, 1 vote to deny. So on your behalf, we'll make the recommendation to Governor Edwards that your sentence be commuted to 99 years and that you be immediately parole eligible. Good luck to you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Unfortunately, I don't have any appeals or any documentation to go over this. So, that's always upsetting that I can't properly unpack it. But I am happy to tell you that the governor did not commute. As far as we showed, this hearing took place in early 2021, and at the time of this recording, we're in February 2013, and he has not had a parole hearing. So, this governor, Governor Edwards, who seemed to be incredibly lenient with that signature hand of his when commuting, really the worst of the worst, he didn't commute his sentence. Which is quite interesting, maybe even surprising. I would be very curious to actually see if they have numbers on how many commutation recommendations the governor did not sign. So, Mr. Roche, with the mic drop, it comes a time when your history is just a heavy load, or so many words like that, and yeah. It's he had, I thought, a pretty decent interview in terms of how interviews go. I thought he was well articulate. He was articulate. I thought, used words better than most, and seemed to kind of check the boxes as far as interview. He didn't beat around the bush when he said what he did. He didn't lie. He seemed to be authentic. I mean, I do feel like you check those boxes, but at the same time, you're a 6th felony offender. You have this long history. You kidnap someone. You drive them around, and then you sexually assault them. And these are things I just can't get over. It's what that does to a person, the generational damage, irreversible damage, and how someone can say, well, I'm just gonna do this to them because I want to. And crack can make people do crazy things, and his history can make you do crazy things, but that doesn't change what he did. And that, who's to say he doesn't get out of his structured environment, get hooked back up on a hit or two of crack, and the worst side of his nature comes out? How can you take that risk? That's where I always fall back on, which is, why are you going, when Ms. Vernazza uses the terms, I'm going to take a chance on you. And when she says that, when it's offenders who do crimes of a sexual nature, especially against children, I just pretty much lose it, because those words are very literal. I'm going to take a chance on you. And A chance? You mean a chance that he will reoffend and do that again? At what point? What are the percentages that you're using? What's the math? Is it a 10% chance? Are you taking a 10% chance? Is it a 5% chance? Is it a 25%? What chance is it that you're saying, yeah, I'll take a chance on you? When is it worth it? There are certain crimes where it's like when you see crimes that happen out of a rage of passion. I've heard judges say this in their sentencing. Someone just completely loses it. They walk in on their wife with someone, and they lose it, or they lose it in some type of moment of rage. And you can make the argument that maybe that person won't be in that situation again. But in these situations, it really seems that he's just one moment away from picking up a crack pipe to then all bets are off. And that's a pretty high scenario, probably, I would assume statistically, for addicts to relapse. Just my thoughts. Well, love to hear yours. And with that, I'll let you go. Okay, so now this is me in the future after having first recorded this hearing. And what we're going to do is watch a hearing in the past from something that I did 6 months ago, yet I'm not sure why the algorithm gods were not on its side. It only had about 4,000 views, yet it's a tragic case that really deserves to be seen. So we're going to play it now. And well, with that, let's jump in.
This is 7 News at 6.
After almost 20 years, the case of a teen run over and killed has been resolved in State District Court. Good evening, I'm Cynthia Arsenault. What was first called a murder resulted in a much less serious charge. KPLC's Teresa Schmidt has been looking into this and is standing by live.
MCKartney Young was indicted for second-degree murder back in 2017 after the killing of Misty Guillory had been a cold case for years. Prosecutors and the defense attorney agree the second-degree murder case against MCKartney Young was weak, and so Young was allowed to plead guilty to felony hit and run involving a death. Back in 2009, Sergeant Mark Krause with Lake Charles Police said they believed Misty was deliberately run over.
These people, we believe, intentionally ran this little girl over. And the night that she died on that roadway, we as a police agency and a community have an obligation to her and to her family to somehow right that wrong.
Though Young pleaded guilty to hit and run, defense attorney Todd Clemens says Young adamantly denies hurting Guillory and only took the plea because it was in his best interest. Young was sentenced to 8 years to run alongside a 20-year drug sentence he's already serving. A murder conviction could have brought life in prison. First Assistant DA Jacob Johnson says the evidence in the case would not allow for a successful murder prosecution. He says the plea was the best option available to the state. Johnson says the victim's family was involved and informed every step of the way. He says the family is happy to finally have closure. At your service, Teresa Schmidt, KPLC 7 News.
We're going to now watch the parole hearing for this man. And after the parole hearing, we'll go over the details of the case. With that, let's jump in.
Please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
MCKartney Young, 487-976.
Hey, MCKartney, my name is Brennan Kelsey. Along with me is Mr. Pete Freeman. Mr. Alan Roche will be your panel.
We'll ask you some questions. You can respond. At the end, you can make a statement. We'll take a vote. You understand the process?
Yes, sir.
MCKartney Young DOC number 487-976. You are a fourth class offender, parole eligibility date 4/13/2023, good time 10/4/2034, full term 9/29/2035, 20-year sentence. Possession with intent to distribute cocaine, codeine, habitual offender, hit and run driving involving a death. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, would you answer Mr. Roche's question? Wait, let me read off. You do have some supporters here. They'll speak at the appropriate time. Krista Ortega, Lily Young, Whitney Brown, Trish Fontenot, Gerald Reed, Connie Young. At the appropriate time, 3 of those folks will speak on your behalf, okay?
Yes, sir.
Would you answer Mr. Roche, please?
Thank you, Mr. Kelson. Good morning, Mr. Young. How are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Mr. Young, you've been incarcerated for 8 years, right?
At this present moment, I've been incarcerated for 3 years.
Okay. So you have a 20-year sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And your full time out in 2035. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So by my calculation, you were incarcerated in 2015
Yes, sir.
and it's 2023. So that's 8 years.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Well, I've served time on the same charge from 2013 to 15. And it's kind of.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah.
I was sentenced to an original sentence of 5 years. I served my 2 years in prison. In my last 6 months, they came back and I was charged as an habitual offender.
Gotcha.
Sentenced to 20 years. At that time, my family hired an attorney, filed for a motion to reconsider sentence. I was granted it, released. Yes, sir. And I was resentenced to the habitual offender again.
Third offense, not fourth offense.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was sentenced multiple times on the same offense and served. Yes, sir.
The first time you were sentenced, it was without probation or parole.
Yes, sir.
But the second time you were resentenced to the same 20 years, but you had the benefit of probation and parole.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, so basically, let's say you've been incarcerated for 8 years, because that's what your master record shows.
Yes, sir.
So you were convicted of your 4th felony offense at 29 years old.
Yes, sir.
Because you're 37 now.
Yes, sir.
So tell me why a 29-year-old young man who looks to be intelligent commits 4 felonies before he's 29 years old.
Yes, sir. I was just going through a lot of personal trauma in my life. I had and still have an addiction to using drugs.
Let me stop you there. It looked like you got tremendous family support. I have letters, I have statements. Your family seems to be a loving family.
Yes, sir.
And one that would support you. So when you were going through your problems and your difficult times, why didn't you lean on your family?
I just had I wasn't able to communicate. I just wasn't comfortable communicating.
Okay. So you acted out.
Yes, sir. I turned to.
And you committed 4 felonies and convicted. You've been arrested 11 times. before the age of 29.
Yes, sir.
Now, you need to explain to me that you killed a young lady by the name of Misty Hillary on August 21st, 2003. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you weren't arrested. Maybe you were arrested, but you weren't tried and convicted until 2017. Is that correct?
I was convicted actually, sir, in 2021.
Okay, so we're talking about 18 years after you committed this crime, you got convicted. What was going on?
Okay, when I was originally arrested and charged with it, they actually dismissed the charge in 2005 or 6.
Actually, they all processed.
Yes, sir. I didn't know exactly how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah, but it's not all processed. Okay. So tell me what happened after that.
Later on, down the line, 2017, I was indicted on the same charge as a cold case in 2017.
So the DA didn't have enough insufficient evidence in 203, so he now processed it. As a cold case, they found additional evidence, indicted you and arrested you in 2017.
Yes, sir. They came up with a new theory. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I understand it now.
Yes, sir.
So because now process means that at that time, the DA's office said he didn't have enough evidence to get a conviction, so he now processed.
Correct.
Okay. Now, you've been arrested 11 times, Mr. Guillory. But you've been on supervision multiple times, and you did very well on supervision. It was terminated satisfactorily in 206, terminated satisfactorily 208, and you earned compliance in 2018.
Yes, sir.
So you've never been revoked.
No, sir.
So why can't you stay out of trouble? Look like you, when you're on supervision, you do very well.
Yes, sir.
So why can't you stay out of trouble?
Well, in the past, I don't have an excuse. But where I am right now, Mr. Alvin, I'm just ready. It just comes a time when you just know that you're ready.
Good. Have you ever had trouble with drugs or alcohol?
Yes, sir. I had trouble with drugs. Never drunk. I never drunk alcohol.
So you're not an alcoholic, but you're a drug addict.
Yes, sir.
When did you first start using drugs?
At the age of 16.
16. And you think about going to your family and trying to get their help to get clean?
No, sir. I didn't think about it, sir.
So what did you start out using?
Just started using prescription Vicodin. I used to get them for migraine headaches, and I started overusing them, to get intoxicated.
Any marijuana?
Yes, sir.
Cocaine?
No, sir.
Heroin?
No, sir.
So your thing was pills?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you started at age 16.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever had any inpatient treatment for your problem?
No, sir, I haven't.
So you hooked on opioid?
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you, for information purposes and put it into the record, the judge who sentenced you is opposed. The DA's office in Calcasieu Parish is opposed. The sheriff in Calcasieu Parish is opposed. And the chief of police of Lake Charles, Louisiana is opposed. The victim sister is opposed to your early release. She's adamantly opposed to your release. You've been arrested for numerous drug charges. What is the second degree murder? Well, the second degree murder charge was the death of Mr. Guillory. I know what that was for. Possession of controlled substance. It's just a merit of drug charges, and you have not received any treatment whatsoever.
No, sir, I haven't received any treatment, but I am in need of some treatment. I've taken risk management, which is a substance abuse class, but it's not.
It's not enough.
No, it's not enough.
It's risk management is a substance abuse education.
Correct.
You need treatment.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about your job at the facility you are right now.
I've been working in the kitchen for right at 29 months. I'm the administrative cook. I cook for the warden, major, lieutenants, all the correctional officers, as well as I cook for the compound too.
Have you had any disciplinary write-ups?
No, sir, I've had no disciplinary write-ups.
So in 8 years of incarceration, you have no disciplinary write-up?
No, sir.
So what would you like to see this panel do for you this morning? What do you need?
I need some help. I need an intensive drug program just to help me overcome this addiction. And any stipulation, any conditions, just need help so I can make a successful return to my family.
I'm trying to check my records and see if there's anything else I should mention. There's nothing else I should mention, but I want to mention one thing. Each and one of these family members on the screen today has jotted down notes saying how much they love you and support you and want you to get released early.
Sir.
These individuals care about you. And you can go to each and every one of these individuals, whether it be sister, brother, mother, father, grandfather, and help you to work through your problems.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a remedy and a recommendation, and I will share it with the panel at an appropriate time.
Okay, got a question here, Mr. Freeman.
Okay, McCartney, tell me a little bit more about Ms. Guillory. What happened? I mean, tell me exactly what happened.
Well, exactly what happened is it's traumatic for me also. I just made I had poor judgment and I made a poor decision. You know, I never intended for anyone to get hurt. You know, that's not my intentions. It's just an accident happened. You know, and I take accountability for it. It just was rough. You know, my heart goes out to the victim and their family.
Said an accident happened. Tell me what happened. How did she die?
Well,
Mr. Freeman, can I interrupt? Mr. Young,
yes, sir.
today is the day, tell the truth. It was not an accident. So you tell Mr. Freeman exactly what happened, because we already know. We want you to tell us again.
Yes, sir. Well, I was charged along with two other guys for the second-degree murder. And I was the driver of the car. And the guys beat the victim. And I was the driver who rolled over.
Did you throw her out the car or did she get out the car?
No, sir, I didn't throw her out the car. She got out of the car.
And y'all were doing drugs, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's all.
Y'all have any input? Staff have any input there?
Yes, sir. This is Lieutenant Tatum. McCartney came to us in August of 20, and he immediately became the cook for the compound. He has done a great job. No write-ups. He's just a great inmate that we like to have around.
From a program standpoint, he has taken all programs that he is eligible to take here at this compound, including one that I think is important, which was victim impact training. It was a 12-module course concerning victims education. It was an amazing program, and he did really, really well with that. And he was a mentor to some of the other guys who were resistant to considering their the crimes of their victims.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll hear from Miss Lily Young now. Thank you all for meeting, Miss Lily. Says Lily Young.
Yes.
Go ahead and make a brief statement, Miss Lily.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Lily Young. I'm McCartney Young's mother. And I'm here on behalf of my son, but I guess you know that. And I know that he's made a change. I believe that he's made a change. He's a good person. And I'm here to support him into whatever he needs. I'm there for him. And he's just a good son. You know, he made a mistake, and I would just hope and I pray that y'all have mercy upon him. And I need him here with me. And I have whatever I have here, I'm here to support him.
Okay.
100%.
Thank you so much. Now we're
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Miss Whitney Brown.
Yes. Hi. Do you guys need me to turn my camera on? Or can I just speak?
Yeah, you can speak. I can hear you.
Okay. I am the mother of McCartney's youngest son, and I'm also in support of his early release. McCartney he's made a lot of change. He has owned up to all of his bad actions and took accountability for them. Outside of not handling his pressures well, he's a great person. He's a great father, great work ethic, outside of the area and the drugs, no other issues. So just want to make it noted that I am in support of his early release. Anything I can do to assist him to stay on the right road also, so that he can have a chance to be in his children's life. He does have an older son, but I'm a mother of his youngest son. My son's only 6. Well, he'll be 6 in August. He's never had his father here. He's had his father when he was first born, and he left when he was 18 days old. He came back when he was 1, and he had him for that next year and a half. But growing up, I really think it would do. My son also suffers from not having his father here, and just the changes being relocated. I mean, he went to prison right before Hurricane Laura. So just all those changes affected my son as well. And I think McCourtney has learned his lesson, and he would be able to come out into society and function properly if drug treatment is given to him, and be able to be a blessing to society and
All right.
as well as his family.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your comment. We hear from Ms. Connie Young. Ms. Connie?
Oh, sorry, I had to unmute my phone.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm not good with really speaking, but my brother is a good person, first off. He made a horrible mistake that has took a lot from him, and it's taken a lot from all of us as a family. And I really just pray that, you guys can, like my mom said, show mercy, have mercy upon my brother, because he really is a good person, a loving brother. I'm here for him. I'm able to help him out with employment. I have my own trucking company. I'm ready to give him a chance to get back and get his life together. I'll help him financially, emotionally. He has his family here. We really are here for him, and we would love to see him home so we can reunite with him.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments. All right, McCartney, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. First, I want to thank y'all for seeing me today. I really appreciate it. I just want to say that there comes a time in a man's life where you just got to draw the line, where you say, okay, I've had enough. Jail is designed to do two things, in my opinion. It's designed to break you and make you better, or make you worse. And I sit right here broken today, became a better man. I'm a better man. Never will I make those same mistakes and leave my family again. And I'm just asking y'all to please just give me a chance to just show myself approved and ready to return to society.
All right. Thank you. Panel prepared to vote?
Yes.
Mr. Rocha.
Mr. Young.
Yes, sir.
I met you this morning. I've only met you this morning. But you seem to be a very intelligent young man with a bright future ahead of you. But you got to stay away from the opioids and the other illegal substances.
Yes, sir.
Did you hear your family? Did you hear the statements of your family? Your sister had a trucking company. She's willing to help you to get on your feet, emotionally, mentally, physically, and financially. Your mother needs you right now. Your children need you. You have a lovely mate, the mother of your youngest child. They're here. Rely on them when you get down and out.
Yes, sir.
They'll lift you up.
Yes, sir.
I see a need for help. And I'm only one vote. But I'm gonna do the best I can to help you.
Yes, sir.
I am going to grant your request conditionally. I grant upon completion of the 9-month Steve Hall Intensive Substance Abuse Program, the best program that the state of Louisiana has to offer.
Yes, sir.
Sit on the first row. Pay attention. Complete that 9-month program
Yes, sir.
and graduate, and you will be released.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Once released, after completing the 9-month Steve Hall intensive substance abuse program. I want you to have a curfew from 9 p. to 6 a.
Yes, sir.
I want you to attend at least 3 NAAA meetings a week. If you can attend more, attend more. But you'll have to attend at least 3 NAAA meetings. Follow all recommendations of the Steve Hall program. I want you to have random drug screens to keep you straight.
Yes, sir.
And you're a young man. You have a chance to have a very productive life.
Yes, sir.
I want you to give back to the community. I want you to talk to at-risk youth. Tell them your story. Lead them in the right direction. And I want you to do that at least 4 hours a month. Good luck. And I know you can do it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Freeman?
You know, Mr. Young, this is really a very hard case for me. I realize you do have a extensive drug problem. You admit it. I do think that you will go to Steve Hall and do your best. I believe that. It's still hard for me to get over Miss Mitchell. You know, those charges could have been a lot worse. You could have got a lot more time, but obviously that was what was chose to do given the circumstances.
Yes, sir.
And say this to tell them, I'm gonna go on and give you a chance. I'm gonna grant conditionally with the same conditions with Mr. Roche. Please don't let me down. I can tell you, you took a young lady's life. I don't know the circumstances, but you need to remember that every day and remember her.
Yes, sir, I will. Thank you.
All right, you have 2 votes to grant your parole today. Again, really difficult case. All our cases are difficult. There's a lot going on with you. You interviewed well. You did a good job interviewing. You're a smart guy. You have really good family support. I mean, you got some people out there that love you and want to support you. It's all left up to you this time.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna give you a chance as well. I'm gonna give you a shot. I'm gonna vote to grant you the Steve Hall Intensive Substance Abuse Program. This is your opportunity. If not, you're going to be back in jail for a long time. So here's an opportunity for you to make it right. You wanted help, we're giving you an opportunity.
Yes, sir.
I grant you parole to Steve Hall Intensive Substance Abuse Program, 9 months. You have a curfew from 9 p. to 6 a. after you're done. Your NAAA 3 times a week, random drug screens, and you have community service 4 hours per month. So you understand stipulations?
Yes, sir.
Here's your opportunity. 3 votes to grant. Parole's been granted. Good luck to you.
Thank y'all so much.
Good luck. We'll adjourn at Caldwell 10:44.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Corruption. When you find out, when you listen to the information that I'm about to share with you, you're going to be as angry as I am right now. Mr. Freeman said, we don't know the details of the case. Well, we do know the details of the case. We do know the details of the case. And it actually only took a few Google searches. Richard put it nicely in my inbox. And when you hear the details of this case, you're going to be angry. Because what we just saw is a legit corruption, incompetence. Do you realize that there was no victim opposition? You might think, who's representing the victim here? Where's the mother? Where's the relatives? Where's the assistant DA? Well, when I share this information with you, you're going to ask those questions and you're just going to say, this is impossible. I will not be surprised if we see this hearing on the news soon. It's not the first time that we have seen people monsters get accepted for parole and then reversed retroactively for some made-up reason. Because this parole board and the staff behind it completely let down the victim. The state of Louisiana has let down the victim and the victim's family since the beginning. This is a petition from the victim's mother, written in 2008. She's begging for help. The petition is written towards the target, Lake Charles Prosecutor and District Attorney's Office. And that's because for some reason, when this crime happened in 2003, they threw their hands up and said there's not enough evidence. It became a cold case, which is absolutely insane. This is what happened to this little girl. Her daughter was 15 years old when she was sexually assaulted, thrown from a moving car, beaten, and then run over. "15." She didn't know them. She wasn't doing narcotics with them in the car like it might have made to be seen in this parole hearing. No, she was, if anything, abducted. My daughter's body was found by a passerby on 4200 block. Detectives arrested 3 men based on the evidence in the case, but would not comment on their role in the murder. One of the accused came forward and confessed to his partner Misty's death. This made him an eyewitness to the other men involved. And by the way, we'll go over more things than just her mother. If you want to say, well, what does her mother know? We'll look over more facts that confirms this. Law enforcement has my daughter's body, DNA, a confession, and much more evidence. Yes, these 3 men were released back into society. And they were. We'll go through that. She was 15. I beg anyone who might have information about this crime to please come forward to authorities and speak up to what you know the truth. My daughter deserves justice for her God-given right to life being taken away by these men. I also beg the detectives, the investigators, the prosecuting district attorney to please continue the search for the truth and hold accountable these men. That's all she was asking for. And she was asking people to sign it. Can you explain to me how these punks got away with this? They knew everything, and the district attorney said there wasn't enough evidence. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Now, here's the news, the video we just saw, right? This is in 2021 that this was published. Just a couple years ago. Okay, the man who was just granted parole. It gets more disturbing. After nearly 20 years of the case of the teen run over and killed, it has been resolved in district court. What was first called a murder resulted in much less serious charge. MCKartney Young was indicted for second-degree murder back in 2017 after the killing in Misty Gullery had been a cold case for many years. So remember, it happened in 2003. 2017, it took them that long to get. Did they say what new evidence came? No, they literally just did not care about this little girl. He said the case was weak. How is it weak? In 2009, the sergeant said she was deliberately run over. These people, we believe, intentionally ran this little girl over, the detective says. Then 6 years after Guillory's death and the night that she died on the roadway, we as police agency and community have an obligation to her and her family to somehow right that wrong. Though Young has pled guilty to hit and run involving death, defense attorney Todd Clemens says Young adamantly denies hurting Guillory and only took the plea because it was in his best interest. This is his defense attorney saying this in 2021. That's 2 years ago. And here it is, plea deal. They're saying, tell me the truth. Take accountability. 2 years ago, after he took the plea, he's still saying he did nothing wrong. What he says in his hearing is, it was traumatic for me. That's what he says even on his parole hearing. It was traumatic for me also. It was an accident happened. I take accountability. They beat her and I ran her over. That's a man that deserves to be free? That's a hard case? He barely spent any time in prison. After running free for over a decade. These people, we believe, intentionally ran this little girl over. That night that she died on the roadway was a police agency's community. Oh, okay. I already read that. Best option for this state. Where do they come up with this stuff? You know what? They'll throw tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. We've read it over and over in these court documents of they'll have secret cameras and helicopters and witnesses with recording devices to catch someone selling some dime bags. But here, no, there's no evidence. Then in 2017, they decided that there was evidence, right? That was 2020. This is 2017. But I'll show why this is relevant. Somehow on January 26th, the detective found new evidence. They don't say what it was, but I don't know. Maybe one of his co-defendants got caught for something else, and he agreed that he would testify. But I don't even. It's just. I think there's just. I don't know what it was, but they decided, and then they're asking to see him because he was running away. They basically indicted him on it, and he was running away. And then this man, who they really think is so great, he ran away, and this is he was hiding from them, and they caught him. They found him hiding in a house, dehydrated. The poor guy. This is only 2020 when he's running from the cops. He was in an attic for hours when the marshals got him. He had been scheduled to be sentenced in June. And then he failed to show up to court. This is what I was looking for. This is not what the mother wrote. This is quoting, this is written in 2020 on AmericanPress.com. Lake Charles police said that Guillory had been walking home, had been walking from her home on Country Club Road when she got into a vehicle with 3 men. And they don't know, by the way, if she was forced into the vehicle. I hate that they even say that she got. Authorities said Young, the driver of the vehicle, tried to sexually assault her. Her mother said they actually did. They said they tried. She was fleeing when the defendant ran her over with the vehicle. I'm just sharing this so that you can see that it's not just some blog post from a grieving mother. Young was arrested for the crime and indicted on second degree. That charge was dismissed in 2006 due to what the Paris district attorney said was conflicting witness statements. Unbelievable. He was driving the car. You have a death certificate. You have proof that she was run over. Conflicting witness statements. The DA's office reopened the case in 2016 after obtaining additional evidence resulting in the 2017 indictment. What was the additional evidence that you all of a sudden obtained? Clowns. They're a bunch of clowns. I mean, good for them for actually following through with it. Someone came and said, this is crazy. We need to do something. He'd been out on bond awaiting trial. Regarding the drug charge, Young is to be resentenced and could be looking at anywhere from 20 to 60 years. He appealed the resentencing decision with both Louisiana Third Court, which also denied his appeal. The defendant had said that 20-year sentence for Young would be unfair. It's so unfair. And he's a career criminal. It's not just this. He has countless offenses. He has Schedule 2 habitual, Schedule 2 habitual, another Schedule 2, another Schedule 2. He has the hit and run. He has, of course, the evading. He has just a huge rap sheet. Clemens said a 20-year sentence to this particular charge should be unfair. And prosecutorial vindictiveness, accusing the court of charging him more for the drug charge instead of this. Young had been scheduled to go to trial on murder charges in 2019, but because of ongoing motions and other issues surrounding the case, the trial got pushed back. No date has been set. Additionally, the trial district. Right. And then he appealed, and this is what's also interesting. This is in 2019 when an appeal court finds murder suspect McCartney given a legal lenient sentence for unrelated cases. So the court kept giving him incredibly lenient sentences, and they appealed the lenient sentences and said, yeah, the judge is letting him get away with it. So apparently this guy has some type of lucky charm where he just gets away with murder and everything else he's done. Here's another one of his. I'll put all the links in the description. The question that I'm left asking right now is, was the mother notified? Were the relatives of the victims notified? I listened to the hearing 3 times at the beginning. Did I miss it? Where's the opposition? Where's the DA? This was a cold case. This isn't like something that just 20 years ago they solved and locked them up. This just happened. This just happened a second ago. Do you not care about justice? Do you not care about a 15-year-old girl being grabbed off the street, assaulted, and run over like roadkill left on the road? You can't make it up. It gets no coverage. It gets nothing. Misty. She was born in 1988. Killed at the age of 15. And no one seems to care. That's why we do these hearings. That's why we do this YouTube stuff. With that, I'll let you go. Wow, it's I'm not a fan of watching myself after I unpack. There's so many things that I wish I would have said, that I wish I wouldn't have said, that I wish I could have done differently. This case is just so tragic, and it's hard to understand. To me, it just seems like justice was not done. That a life was lost, and this is it. But this is again why I do this. And thank you, Richard, and thank you all for being here. And with that, I'll let you go.